rock on the track.
Welcome to Immerse Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you for tuning in. No matter where you're in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and formula that we know how. We want to thank you for tuning in, and we want to thank you for all the likes, shares, and subscriptions that we have received on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and now TikTok. This show is being brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, Burchell Family Insurance Agency, and Stepping Stones LLC of Jonesboro, Louisiana. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us for this lovely Wednesday night of community gardening. Are we stepping into this garden and pulling out another flower that's full of action and love? We have a great guest. Hey, we want to let you know, if you have anyone that you would like to be on the show, please hit us at immersedpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, this community garden is very special. We're going to be talking about economical value of Morehouse Parish. And our guest is a life servant leadership. She's love in action. She's all about faith, family, career, and community. She's married to Mr. Marcus Hutchinson, where she has one child, Jocelyn, who's an 11th grader at the Magnet School in Morehouse Parish. Her parents are Patricia and Otis Morrison. She's the next to the youngest of 4 siblings. She's a graduate of Bastrop High School in 2003. She's a graduate of ULM in 2010 with a BA in Finance and Risk Management and Insurance. Her professional career consists of Allstate Insurance before moving on to Chase, where she is now the Vice President, a Senior of Project Management. And she is our guest today, and she's none other with her great volunteer experience and expertise in community service. It's so many to name, such as Morehouse and Monroe Chamber of Commerce, Monroe Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, Business and Professional Women Association of West Monroe, and she's on the advisory board for McCain School of Business and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Miss Latetao Hutchinson. Osoyo, my sister.
Osayo, my brother. How are you today?
Hey, we are so great and honored to have you on to come on and share your expertise and your vision about Morehouse Parish and how you would see the economical value of our community and our parish rise. But, with that being said, kind of introduce yourself and share with us how it was for you growing up in big old Strop City.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to the show today. Some of people may be saying, Latetao Hutchinson, who is that lady? But if you grew up with me, then you know who I am. If you went to school with me, then you know me. And if you don't know me, you will soon. So to answer your question, growing up here in Bastrop, it was wonderful. I am the youngest girl of 5. I have 3 older sisters and a younger brother. Like I said, I grew up right here in Bastrop. For most of our lives, we lived right over by H.V. Adams on Corky. And so the green apartments right there in our backyard. I know some people look at that as the ghetto, but to us it wasn't. It was just home. Later on, we moved outside of the city limits off of Grabout. But, I love growing up here in Bastrop. I was a very quiet kid. And so with 4 siblings, there's a lot of talking, a lot of playing around all the time. I am slow to speak and quick to listen. And so growing up, everyone knew my siblings. They knew my brother. I don't have to be out and about all the time or moving every time the car is moving. So people, even as I got to be an adult, people, I would be with my mother and they would say, well, who is this? Is this your niece? And she'd say, no, this is my daughter. This is my daughter. This is just the one that doesn't get out as much. I get out and I speak out when I need to, but not just because.
Right, right. And, being that you were kind of laid back, quiet child, how was it for you with your peers at Bastrop High School?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. I was among one of the first. So I'll back up. My dad, Otis Morrison. So my mother's side, Ethelyn A.B. Wilson on Lee Street. On my dad's side, Basil and O.G. Morrison on the Hilltop. My dad, Otis, he passed away young, as a young man in his 30s, but he really instilled in me the value of education and doing what was in living up to my potential, basically. Early on, I think it was about the third grade, he could tell that I was a straight A student. And so he expected nothing less. And so about the fourth grade, I made a C. If you make straight A's all the time, sometimes you get relaxed. And so I made a C. And when I came home with that C on my report card, he did not spank me, but the disappointment was just as hard. And he told me, you are an A student, so that is what you will be. Nothing else is acceptable. And so from that point forward, I made straight A's. And so I left H.B. Adams, went to the Enrichment Center at Westside, which turned into the magnet school. And so I was one of the first class of the magnet school. And so it was a little bit different for me in high school because when the magnet school started, you have all these students from the Enrichment Center that are scholastically driven, and you put us together at the magnet school in this new entity. And so it was very exciting. It was a very good environment, and we became very close. So when we went to the high school, it was a different kind of experience. I personally loved our class because you had cheerleaders, football players, band geeks. All of us were in all of that, but we were also scholars. And so it made high school unique because you didn't have any, there was no putting down somebody because they are a nerd. I mean, the star football player is in that same class with you. And so it really made for a very unique environment, and I was very blessed to be a part of that class and there during that period of time, during that transition.
Right. And I've spoken with you. You're very intelligent and you're very bright young lady. But, sometimes those pressures of having to be on top gets to us. When you got to ULM, did you feel any pressure being that you had been a scholar all those times? It was kind of easy once you got to college.
Well, no, I felt the pressure, not from the scholastic side. My studies, school has never been an issue with me, but balancing life and school, now that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. I met my current husband in the 11th grade. And so we got together and we met in the 11th and we were married. I graduated high school in May and we got married in July in my mom's backyard under the pecan tree. And so you think about that. I had this idea in my mind of I could do it all. I could go to college, I could be a scholar, I could have a career, I could have a family. And don't get me wrong, you can do it all, but I did have some unrealistic expectations. And so starting a family, being married, having to take care of a household, and then starting a family at the same time that I was in college and working was very difficult. And it was the balance that really made it very hard for me. While I was in college, I became pregnant with my daughter, Jocelyn. And so I can remember some the struggle is real. I'll just say that the struggle is real. So I do understand people that struggle now, those non-traditional students who are working, who have a family, and they're still pursuing, their degree. But I have less sympathy on ones that give excuses, because at that time I worked at Sonic, and when I left Sonic, I worked at the Walmart in the deli, and then I left there and I worked at Allstate. But this whole time, I have a job. I'm attending school full time. I have a family. I'm either pregnant or now I have a child. And mind you, I have no car. I have no cell phone. I'm dependent on someone to give me a ride to Monroe every Tuesday and Thursday, with loaded up full of books that I'm dragging around the campus. I was even able to write a proposal to ULM on behalf of non-traditional students that we need lockers so that students like me, non-traditional students, don't have to carry these books all over campus. We can have somewhere to put them. But that was the struggle for me, just balancing everything that I was trying to do and not listen to people that just assumed because I was married, because I was pregnant, and then after she won't finish. There's no way she's going to finish her degree. And in fact, I finished with 2 degrees.
Right, and that's what all about. A beautiful story. Staying consistent and staying persistent about your vision and your career and your goals. We're going to come back and we want to talk about some of the professions that you had here in Bastrop before you moved on to your current career. We want to talk about some of the things that you did and did not expect here in your professional career after we take this short intermission. We'll be talking about, just things that you see now that you're a grand professional. I like to say some of the things that you can share with people about the expectations, whether they're there or they're not, when it comes to having a career in a profession. We'll be right back with the CEO and founder of Morehouse Community Development, Mr. Latetao Hutchinson, after we return.
Immerse 360 Podcasts focuses on uplifting rural and urban areas and dire conditions with no solutions by shedding light on pioneers, athletes, and political figures who have made an impression on Northeast Louisiana and surrounding areas. Immerse understands the social and civic needs to love, learn, live, and laugh. So, tap in every Sunday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. on all social networks and platforms. Always remember, Immerse 360.
Welcome back. We're still here with CEO and founder of the all-new grand Morehouse Community Development Incorporation, Ms. Latetao Hutchinson, and she's going to share with us people about her profession. Some of us have jobs, and it's a difference between a job and a career, and Ms. Hutchinson has a great career and a very challenge ahead of her. Ms. Hutchinson, kind of share with us about some of your professions and that you had here in Bastrop and moving on.
Well, I have not had a lot of jobs in my life. I'm that type of person. When I find something, I like to stick to it until the Lord tells me, hey, it's time for you to move on. And so here in Bastrop, I worked at Sonic for many years, worked my way up Sonic to a management position. And I've really enjoyed working at Sonic, to be honest. I worked for Mike Morrow for many years. Sonic had a thing going on where if you learned everything in the store, for everything that you learned, it was a 10-cent bump in your pay. And so that's all you have to do is tell me that. And I learned everything in that store. Only thing I did not do was skate because I'm not coordinated enough to skate. But other than that, I could do everything, make the drinks, the ice cream, get on the grill, car hop, everything in there. Um, I have dreams about working at Sonic. To this day, I still have dreams where I'm in my sleep making drinks and ice cream, but I love it. I love it. Um, After Sonic, I've also worked at Walmart in the deli. Again, I loved it. Anything that has to do with customer service, serving others is a real pleasure for me. It really doesn't matter what it is, but retail allows a person to really get into servant leadership. You don't have to be in a position of management to be a servant leader or to have influence or to have an impression on others or to live out whatever your ministry or your purpose is. You can do that in any type of job, but retail really allows you to explore that part of yourself. And so when I left Walmart, I worked at Allstate in Monroe for Patsy Brown and really enjoyed that. That job was afforded to me because I was in the risk management and insurance program at ULM. And I let Dr. Berry know that I was working in retail, but I knew that when I graduated, I wanted to go into more of a professional setting. And so I needed some experience in a professional setting. And so she referred me over to Allstate. And when I sent the email with my resume, the subject line was hire me. And Miss Patsy said that is why I opened the email, because it was so abrupt, it was so direct into the point. I just thought I have to meet this young lady. And so my career path leading up to Chase has been speaking up for myself and owning my own career, taking good advice and putting it into action, and just using whatever platform I have. It really does not matter where I'm working or how much I'm making. It's just making the most of that situation and being a light for the people that I'm blessed to be in front of at that moment.
Right. And I'm looking at your resume and the things that you have done. But, working at Allstate for the time you did, what did you kind of learn about, being a professional and trying to gain a career, and what led you away from Allstate?
Well, I really enjoyed Allstate. I enjoyed my clients. I learned a lot about customer service and relationship management, just having that set book of clients that you call on a regular basis and you check on them and you see how their policies are going. And when claims come, you be that rock for them to let them know this is how this will happen, and really be that connector. Really, when you think about it, that insurance agent is a connector between the client and the company. They are the advocate. And so I was really able to get in that space. Of course, being a licensed producer, you have to take, your state exams and things like that. Again, I'm a scholar at heart, so that was something I enjoyed doing, being able to study and take those exams. But the biggest thing about it is that it helped me to see the potential in being a connector in that business space. With me, the main reason that I did not stay is because they couldn't afford me after I graduated. I if I'm being honest, when I got that job, I was in college, right? And so I'm getting a college student's pay. Well, when I graduated, I need a grown up woman's pay. And so that was always an understanding with the agent. We hated to part ways, but it was an understanding that I had outgrown that particular position and it was time to move on to the next phase.
Now, moving on to Chase, I see you came up through the ranks. You pretty much had every starter job, throughout all the way up to the top. You know, that shows again you going back to you being persistent about staying focused on your vision. What have now been, you know, senior president of engagement and community engagement with Chase Bank? How do you see it now?
Well, I look at it as a continuous work in progress. It is not anything that it's not a thing that you ever hit the top. I don't see myself as being at the top of anything because that would imply that there's someone at the bottom. And for me, we're all on the same even keel. The person that is working at Sonic at Bastrop right now, or working at the deli, or working at Allstate, or the associate banker at the bank, or me as a VP, we're all on the same level. We just have different roles to play. And so for me, you know, looking back, it has really just been, when is it time to move? And I really try to listen to the spirit and really be mindful of my environment and where can I have the most impact. It's not always a comfortable thing. And I'll give an example. When I started, I left Allstate. I was already licensed. And so I came into Chase as a licensed banker. I was able to, you know, do teller work, do the banker side, open up accounts and give advice and all of that. Doing that, it becomes, and this is, customers would tell me, this is your ministry, because you really get to get in the weeds with people and really see what's going on with them. This is their day-to-day lives. You know, I'm overdrafted and I need gas in my car though. And so when you help to reverse a fee, it's not a fee. You're putting gas in that person's car so they can get to work, so they can get a paycheck and put food on the table so the lights don't get cut off. And you build relationships, very, very personal relationships. And that's why so many of my customers still, even though I've been outside of the branch for so many years now, they still look at me as their banker, as the bank lady, so to speak, because you build those personal relationships. But over time, sometimes my goal has always been, where can I have the most impact? Lord, where do you want me? Because I know you want me to grow. If I'm faithful over a few, you'll put me over many. And so that has been my story. I went from working in a branch, and you're working in a branch and you are affecting the lives of those hundreds of clients that are coming into the branch. But then when you move up to being the branch manager, now you're affecting all those hundreds of clients that are coming into your branch, plus all of your staff that depend on you. And then I moved up to helping all of North Louisiana. So all of the branches and all of those thousands of clients that they are affecting. And then now in my current position, Vice President, Senior Project Manager over communications and community engagement for our home lending corporate site, it's the hundreds of thousands, because it's not just Monroe, it's not just North Louisiana, it's having an influence and an impact across the state, across the country, in the influence and the advice and different, you know, ways, the different tables that I'm able to be at now, and the influence that I'm able to make in whatever small way I'm able to make that, I'm able to have that impact. I count it, because I know that that's the goal, to expand the impact, and whatever good work there is to do to grow it, whatever more love and action that there is to put out there to grow that. And so that has really been my story.
Right. And, you know, it's still about your persistence, and you keep staying focused in the vision, and you gaining knowledge and information and wisdom at the same time and in your career. And like you say, you've been there going on 13 years, and you've moved up the rank in 13 years, you know, in the ranks and the different positions that you held inside the bank. It speaks for itself. You have a remarkable resume, and the vision that you have for your community, for Louisiana, Northeast Louisiana, surrounding areas is just remarkable. But I want to know, how do you find the time? I know you're networking, but these community service memberships you have, Black Chamber of Commerce, Monroe Chamber, Equity and Inclusion Committee, the Business and Professional Women Association, Advisory Board for McCain School and Business Technology, as we mentioned, Community Impact of the Junior League, Keep Morehouse Beautiful, Healthy Community Coalition, and Region 8 Community Outreach. How is that going?
Well, okay. I will say this. A lot of time, a lot of using my tools, using my calendars and different things like that. A very remarkable, great team. And when I say a great team, I mean my family, my husband being very supportive. When you talk about all of that, that is a lot of time spent away from home. So a very supportive husband, daughter, just family, sisters, brothers, mother, and a very remarkable supportive team at work. They do a great job holding things down at work, so I'm able to expand my impact because they do such a great job. And just great partners in the community. For me, community is what I love. When I tell you I love it, and because I love it, it comes easy. It comes easy making those connections. I don't know. When it's something that you love and it's something that you're meant to do, it comes easier to you. And that's how I'm able to do it. To be honest, as I was writing the resume to send to you, I even asked myself, how in the world are you doing all of this? But it's just not me. It's not me. It's my Father in heaven. He said, this is what I want you to do. And so he makes it to where I can do it. But it's a balancing act. I will say that. What I had to realize, even when I started Morehouse Community Development, what I had to realize is you don't have to do everything perfectly. And that is something I've always strived for, perfection. But when you strive for that perfection, you can really weigh yourself down. You can get into analysis paralysis because you're waiting too long to do things because you want to get them just right, or you're hesitating to do things because you're not going to be able to do it just right, just so like you want it. And so I just had to give myself as much grace as I give others and say everything isn't going to be perfect, but do what you can do. And so in all those things, a lot of people give me grace. I'm able to work with them and say, hey, I can come to this meeting, but I can't come to that one. But you can reach me by phone or by email. Maybe you can't reach me during the day, but you can definitely reach me in the evening. So it's a balancing act. And the other thing is that because I love community and community is me and I am community, it's all one thing for me. It's not disconnected. I am blessed in the way that my work, my passion, it's all the same thing. What I do in community, what I'm doing here in Bastrop, I already do in Monroe for work. And so it's I don't exactly do that for work, but it's in the similar vein of some of what I get to do for Chase is in the realm of community impact. And so that makes that part of the job easier because I already love it anyway. And so for me, when you find something that you love, you don't turn yourself off when you go to work. You stay yourself and you maintain that being genuine and finding how to live out your passion in your job or in your community. And it just all kind of, it works itself out. It becomes not separate things that I'm doing.
Right. And we want to speak on on your vision that you have for Morehouse Parish in Northeast Louisiana. But let's kind of back up to the banking. What are some of the issues that you see, especially we'll say African Americans, for lack of a better word? Where are we at with understanding banking, understanding investments, understanding loans, understanding bonds, and various ways that we can save and generate money? Where we stand at that you see in your profession?
I see that many of us, not all of us, but many of us have a way to go with our understanding of the tools, the resources that we have available to us. We don't often enough probably reach out to different advisors. We have an issue with trust when it comes to advice. And I'll say, even when it comes to using the advice of people that look like us, to be quite frank. I know that's kind of interesting to say, but we do. I struggled in the branch as a banker because people would go to the other side of town to get the same advice, and they may not have known, well, the banker on the other side of town is just going to call me. You know, sometimes we have the greatest resource right in front of us, but we don't value it enough. And so, you know, I think that's an opportunity. We are represented underserved population, I know, in Bastrop. And so we do still have a lot of unbanked, members of our community, underbanked members of our community that may not know the difference between the different type of banking resources, banking products, and there's just a lot. Ownership, that's the biggest piece of building wealth for most people. Buying their house is the biggest purchase they will ever make. If they're a business owner, then that's probably the next biggest purchase that they will ever make. But getting them to that point, working on the credit and different things like that, working on budgeting and saving, it's a culture and it's a mindset. And if you didn't grow up in that, then the struggle is real. And it takes a lot of good advice and listening to that advice for ourselves. So I think one of our biggest opportunities here in Bastrop is just for people to know that we can. We can do it. We can own our homes. We can own businesses. There is a path to that, and more knowledge about those paths and how to do it. And I don't mean general, vague, those generalities. I mean getting into the weeds of it, getting down to the nitty gritty, getting down to, okay, so you get food stamps, maybe you get more than you need and you sell some. And so, okay, well, what are you doing with that? How can we maximize what you have going on? No judgment. Just really getting down to the basics a person is, starting where they are and letting them know that wherever you are is wonderful. It is beautiful. It is great. If it is not great, that is okay too. It's okay not to be okay, but let's have a vision. Let's have a plan. If you don't have a plan, let's make a plan together, and you have to own it. But there are so many great people here in this city and in the surrounding areas that will wrap their arms around you and help you get to where you're trying to go. And I just believe we can get there. Anybody here that wants to get there can get there. And so we just have to paint that picture, write that vision down and make it plain.
Right, exactly. And we're going to take another intermission. And when we come back, we're going to dive into the Morehouse Community Development and your inspiration behind that and the vision that you have for your foundation or corporation. And it's pretty much you done took all your professions and you done put it into one collaboration, and you're giving it back to your community. And that's what you're all about: faith, love, community, and action. When we come back, we want you to kind of tell us your inspiration and your vision of Morehouse Parish and Old Strop City when we come back after this intermission. We'll be right back with founder and CEO of Morehouse Community Development, Ms. Latetao Hutchinson, when we return after this intermission. Welcome back. We're still here with CEO and founder of the Morehouse Community Development Corporation, Ms. Latetao Hutchinson. When we left, Ms. Hutchinson, you were sharing with us about your career and your profession and the things that you have gained and knowledge and wisdom that you've gained over the years from your career and profession. But now we want to kind of give a full insight on your plans and your vision with the Morehouse Community Development Corporation that you have started for dear old Morehouse Parish.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is, I mentioned earlier that sometimes we can get into analysis paralysis. And that was my story when it comes to Morehouse Community Development Corporation. I have had this on my mind and on my heart for many years, and I've been planning it and researching it, and to be honest, doing the work already with the goal of forming an actual entity, a nonprofit, to that umbrella, right? And so what I realized was that, as I said, I am that person. I don't like to do something unless I can do it perfectly. But I realized that's not how you do it. You just start. You just start and you do what you can do at that point in time. And so I am the type of person, I have so many great ideas, and I love to hear all the great ideas of others. And I'll just take something and you'll see the wheels, they'll just start turning and turning. But I've learned that it's okay to put a pen in some things. Write it down, save it in your notes, turn on my voice recorder. It's okay to put a pen in it so that I can get it off my mind. I don't get anxious about it. But at the same time, don't stop moving. Don't stop moving forward. And so with Morehouse Community Development Corporation, it was important for me to start. I've already been doing the work, but form this entity, make this happen, and keep moving forward. The purpose behind me forming it was, to your point, it's a culmination of my experience in the community impact space, working with Chase, in all the nonprofit work that I do personally, both combination of different advice from others over the years, and just the experience I've gained being in that work and just seeing the struggle, what works, what doesn't work, why didn't it work. And the biggest thing that I came to realize is that it's connections. Most often, there is a gap. There is a gap somewhere. And if there is no one to fill that gap, it stays and it grows. And so you can do one or two things. You can add to the gap growing by doing nothing, by complaining, by, you can add to the gap, or you can help shrink that gap by inserting yourself and saying, you know what, there is a piece that I can do. And so I can do my little piece. You can do your piece. Somebody else out there can do their piece. And if we all come together to do our piece, we will fill that gap. And the gap is, there's so many gaps, but quite often I see a gap of community needs and community resources. There is somebody out there who has some corporation out there who has funds that they want to give to the right kind of cause that matches their mission and their goals, where they can have an impact in their community. And there's and who is doing funding, who needs resources, and they're struggling. Where is the connector? Sometimes those two meet, oftentimes. And so, and a nonprofit, whether it's a person, a parent, it doesn't.
Your phone
matter.
breaking up. Your phone breaking up.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, we hear you better now. Go ahead.
Perfect. Well, it doesn't matter what the gap is or what the need, but there's usually a gap between community needs and community resources. And so Morehouse Community Development Corporation is a nonprofit, and our goal is to help fill that gap. Here in Bastrop, what I've found, and this does not just apply to Bastrop or Morehouse Parish, this is an issue that it is worldwide, nationwide. It's all over. It's the same. We want industry. Everybody wants industry. Everybody wants growth. But it doesn't come from the top like that usually. If we want more, everybody says Bastrop was here, right? So we want more industry to come back. Well, you have to back it up. And you have to say, well, if we want the industry, when they come and they drive through town and they try to decide if they want to bring a factory here, they want to see, they're looking at schools, they're looking at crime, they're looking at housing. Those are the kind of things that they're looking at. So before, they're looking at all of those things. So in order for schools, and you have to work on the culture of your city. So there are some just groundwork things that we have to do to market all the great and wonderful things that all of you, everybody in this community is doing. We have a picture and we have to believe it ourselves. And then it has to become that self-fulfilling prophecy of, yes, we have great things happening. Yes, our children, stop calling them bad. Our children are good. Our children are smart. Our children behave. No, they're not perfect. No child in the country is perfect. But if there are children in New York acting up, shooting, killing, but New York's economy is still growing, so what's the difference? The only difference is we have to believe, we have to be so Strop City, so Bastrop proud that we tell that story, we show that story, and that then we'll start to have more pride in our own communities. When we host a neighborhood cleanup, everybody can come out and we can all have fun. We can have neighborhood block parties. We can clean up our streets. We'll want to fix up our houses. We'll go to those parent-teacher conference meetings because, hey, my child is smart. My child is an athlete. It starts with culture. It starts with communication. It starts with us feeling good about ourselves. And then we have to do the work ourselves first. We can't look for the handout. We can't look for anybody else to come in first. We have to get together ourselves. If there is Miss Susie's house that needs to get painted, okay, Morehouse Community Development will say, let's do a paint project. Let's go fix up this person's house. And then the next person's house. If we have to do it one time, one commercial property at a time, going from being blighted and empty to a viable business, being in that building. One neighborhood garden at a time, one walk, one race, one carnival, one thing at a time. Let's slow walk it down and do the work ourselves. If there's a rotting bench at the playground, somebody get some wood, somebody get some nails, let's go fix the bench. Let's not say what the city should be doing, the parish should be doing, this person, that person. If you've got the knowledge, somebody else has the resource, we got the two, let's get it done. Because then we can wrap in, we can pull in all of our neighbors. And now it's not what I'm asking of you. It's let me show you what I am already doing, what we are already doing. And only if we had your support, look at how much more we could do. That type of culture, that type of city is a formula for success. And with that, we can grow better schools, better housing, less crime, and we can grow our economy. It is not a short game. This is a long game plan. Bastrop has gone down. Morehouse Parish, we're not where we want to be, but we are a beautiful city full of beautiful people, and we can be whatever we want to be and however great we want to be. And so it's a long game. It's years to get to where we want to go, but we can get there.
Right. And like I said, I spoke with you several times, and, every time I hear you, I hear the passion, and I can actually see what you're saying, and to get it from someone of the same age and been in that professional career where you understand equity and the marketing and the value of community and the property value, and it's just so much that you have to offer. And I'm so glad that you started this Morehouse Development Community Incorporation, because I already see when I asked you for the interview and you befriended me on the page, I'm like, okay, how long this been going? You got your stuff already laid out, and that's what I like about you. You crossed all your T's and you dotted all your I's before you jumped out there, and now you have a blueprint, and you just need us to visualize and get on board.
That's it. And I want to say, when I do something, I want to do it right. I want it to be something that if a big opportunity comes up for a grant or some type of funding, I want to be set up right so that I can take advantage of that and I can spread that. I can be a pass-through to someone else, or I can be able to take advantage of opportunities. So, I welcome members to join my board, to serve in my executive committee, things like that. Let's come on board. And I am not trying to take away from any great work that anybody else is doing. I feel like we all do it better together. So when someone is already doing, like you are doing, such great work with the Immerse 360 podcast, my goal is just to push it, just to let everybody know, hey, do you know about this? If you want to have pride in your community and know about the history, there are historians out there like Odom, like the Immerse 360 podcast, where you can learn about the history. And there are other historians out there. So when there are just great things happening, I have found it's not always my purpose to lead the great thing. Sometimes it's just my purpose to push it, to let others know that, hey, such and such, Miss Sarah is having a cancer walk on March 18th at Carter Park. Hey, everybody, you don't have to go to Monroe to go to a walk or run. They're happening right here in Bastrop. We have our Crawfish Festival coming back in April, right here in Bastrop. When something is great happening, I want to be that, especially because we have a newspaper, be a source where people can come on one page and see all the different great things that are happening. And they don't have to wonder what's going on in Bastrop. I don't have anything to do. And then if there are other things, especially things for the kids to do, let's come together and figure it out. And ask their input. What would you all like for us to do? And then the adults, okay, let's go to work. Let's pull the kids in because they're usually willing to help. But then the adults, let's get to work and make it happen based on their feedback. And so I know a lot of times nonprofits, they don't get up off the ground because there's so much pushing and pulling and everybody wants their own way. I'm really hoping to be the connector where I can Morehouse Community Development can stand in the middle, stand in the gap, pull people together, and be able to accomplish great things because we are working together towards a common goal.
Right. And that's just a beautiful way you explained it and expressed it. You know, I just want to participate and get on board with you because I see the vision, I hear the passion in your voice, and I see you doing the work. Like I said, when I opened up the Facebook page, I'm like, okay, has this been going on for a couple of years now? It's already laid out, beautiful. It's self-explanatory. You're being informative in it, and it's no excuse not to come in and help you bring in resources to help develop Morehouse Parish and especially Strop City. You know, and we want to thank you for calling in tonight, and we know you have a busy schedule, and man, you're so enlightened and gave us so much information. You know, before we let you go, what you want to tell Strop City and Morehouse Parish from the heart, how you feeling inside about the desires of what you desire to see us to be?
The main thing I want to tell us is that we can do this, y'all. We can do this. If there is anybody out there that has any question in their mind of whether Morehouse Parish can be what we want to be, I am answering that question for you right now. Yes, we can be whatever we want to be. We can do this. And you can't change a piece of something without changing the whole thing. And I'll say that one more time. I want you to really I want it to soak in. You can't change a piece of something without changing the whole thing. So when you change your mindset, we can do this. Guess what? You just changed all of Bastrop. You decide, you know what? I'm going out into my front yard and I'm picking up that piece of paper out of the ditch. I am going to sit down with my child today and work on some math homework. When you just change your mindset, we can do this. We've got this. I've got this. When you change your piece, guess what? You didn't just change yourself. You changed your own household. You changed your neighborhood. You changed this city, this parish, this state, this country, this world. You can't change a piece of something without changing the whole thing. And so that's the kind of impact that every one of us has, ripples in a pond. And so I encourage all of you not to get overwhelmed with the big things, but just to find out what is my piece? What is my piece? And just do that. Do whatever is in your heart, your piece of the pie. And if we all do that, we win.
Yes, ma'am. And that's so beautiful, beautifully spoken words from you. And like I said, once again, it's been our honor for you to stop through and call in tonight and having such a busy schedule. We're here. And like I say, Immerse 360, we just spoke several times with you, and we're on board, and we're with the vision. Like she's saying, people, pretty much charity starts at home. So that paper in your ditch, start right there. Start over at the neighbor house. Don't worry about they grown, they shouldn't do this. It's just about you putting the first leg out and people latching on. Miss Hutchinson, we want to thank you for stopping through. And if anything we can do with Immerse 360, please let us know. We're going to, like I told you, we're going to have video here soon. We're working on getting that set correctly so we can have these public and open forums for the people to see the various people in the community that are putting in that work. And once again, sister, thank you for sharing your visions and insights with Morehouse Parish.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It was our pleasure. Hey, we want to thank you for joining in. Remember to tap in every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 p.m. It's going down as always. Hey, this is being brought to you by Burchell Family Insurance Agency, Kick Thrones of Bastrop, Louisiana, and Stepping Stones LLC. Hey, we want to always remember to tell you to be encouraged, be involved, and most of all, y'all stay immersed. We out of this thing.
life over crumbs of cocaine.